Guys, it's been a week. Let me tell you. So, it's Thursday of day recording this vlog. Um, last weekend I was in Anime Boston. Boston, you know. Uh, but yeah, last Wednesday I was planning to make my trip out there. Well, turns out I'm a numbnuts. And what? And because I am an idiot, I embarked on what was one of the most harrowing and bizarre journeys of my 29-year life. So I'm ready. I'm all ready to go. I'm not packed or anything, but I have plenty of time because I'm going to leave at midnight on Thursday, uh, and then get in at Thursday night. So it's about it's about a 24-hour train ride or whatever. But here's the thing: I scheduled it for the wrong day. So in my amazing stupidity, this is a theme throughout my adventure. In my utter dumbassedness, I booked it for Wednesday instead of Thursday because derp. So I get an email that morning, and I'm just like, oh no, what went wrong? Hey, you're supposed to be on a train at midnight, and I was just like, no, Nate, no. So I was just like, ah, shit, what am I gonna do? So I booked a bus. Stupidly enough, I could have just bought another train ticket and gotten on that night and gotten in at the same time, but instead of that, I decided, there we go, yeah. I almost saw a man die on camera. So instead of that, I decided it would be a better idea to just grab a Greyhound and get out there because mentally I was thinking I have to pick up the train to Albany and get there at the same time. Grab the train and take it up. That didn't happen like that because I saw, oh, hey, I can just take a Greyhound to Boston. Oh, boy. So I'm like, okay, whatever, cool. Bought my tickets. I'm on the road at this point. I finish up at work and I go to the bus stop, which is is in the parking lot of a Days Inn. Yeah, that's how you know it's fucking classy, kids. so, so I'm just like, oh fuck, jeez, did I miss the bus? It's like 20 minutes late. I get on the bus and they're like, oh, do you have tickets? I'm like, well, no, I was on the road. I did this shit on the phone. And they're like, all right, well, we'll take you as far as Anchorhead, basically. But they're like, all right, whatever, we'll take you to Fort Wayne. I live in Elkhart, Indiana. Going to Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm like, okay, fine, I can print out my tickets there. So I'm just like, oh, whatever. It's typing, working on history of Mecca and all that shit. And I get to Fort Wayne and I'm like, yo, I need to get these tickets printed out. I was like, oh, well, you opened the link in your email, so we can't print them out for you. I was just like, bitch, please. So it's the reason that people who work at train stations or bus stations, I'm gonna confuse train and bus a lot this vlog. So, going there, bus. Coming back, train. I think one of the big reasons that the people who work at or bus stations are behind glass is because of crap like that. Anyway, so the lady who is driving the bus is like, hey, don't worry about it. We'll get you to Cleveland. And I'm like, Cleveland? Oh, great. So I'll be stuck even farther from home with no way to get back to my car. Lovely. Yeah, no. So just bend me over at this point. I got on this bus I got on this bus at 1:00 in the afternoon on Wednesday. I'm just like, okay, whatever. I get on. We get back on. I'm just like, this sucks, but I guess I'll deal with it. I'm not happy. Nobody's happy. They're on a bus. And so we're just going and we're going and going. It's like, whatever. We hit Cleveland at 7 p.m. Or no, because we were late. Almost 8 o'clock. And it was just like, okay, fine. When's the next bus leave to, not New York. Well, yes, to New York, but then further on. I was like, okay, that one leaves at 1 in the morning. So I'm sitting there on my butt with nowhere. There was this really cool bar that was in Columbus that I was almost ready to go to. I was just like, hey, I want to go to this thing. But they're like, oh, yeah, you can do that, and you can keep your bags with us, but it's $8 a bag. And I was just like, well, I have like some Chex Mix in my bag. I think I'll just eat that instead. So that's basically all that I had for several. I mean, yeah, I had this bag of trail mix or whatever, and that was like all I had ate that week with some, or all I had eaten that Wednesday going into Thursday morning. So I'm just like, need it, need food. So I get on the bus, and sitting next to me is shitty teenager. Sitting catty corner to me is crazy black lady, and sitting behind her, also catty corner to me, going the other direction, is Squirrel, as I learned he was called. Shitty teenager was on her phone most of the time at midnight, getting calls from people with the Skype handle of Young Silverbuck, I believe it was the name. And every time that she would get a call, she'd be like, hello? Hello? And just make this annoying sound the whole time. And I was about at the point where I was going to grab the phone out of her hands and stomp it to a million pieces, and just looked at her go. But, yeah, no, so she got 6 phone calls over the course of just leaving the bus station. And was taking them while the driver was like, yo, we're on an overnight. Don't be on the phone and loud and obnoxious. It's just like, it's funny because, you know, if I busted her head through the glass, I would be the one that got in trouble. Ain't that about a bitch. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, like, I'm talking vaguely to Squirrel. I was like, hey, yeah, it's funny. Hey, I'm glad we're on this trip. Please don't offer me drugs. Offers me drugs anyway later on. So I am slowly nodding off. I'm already very annoyed. So I'm just like, I get poked in the shoulder, and the guy's like offering me something that is glowing, changing colors, and I'm not entirely certain what it is. I just like wave it away. I'm like, no, dude, I'm trying to sleep. I was almost there, and you woke me up. And he's like, oh, sorry, man, sorry. It's like, fucking asshole. So I try to curl up as best I can and go to sleep again. And the fucking crazy black lady, who has to this point been looking wild-eyed at everything. I'm not sure she was all there, but she certainly knew what was going on when she poked me, and was like, "Do you know what that young man is doing behind you?" And I'm just like, I don't care. He's smoking a blunt. I'm just like, okay, he's lighting up on the bus. He's lighting up on the bus. That's not my problem. I don't care. I am trying to sleep. And I did manage finally to conk out, and I woke up again, and it's just like, oh, goody. We're here at a bus station in, God, I don't even remember where. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Going on to Philadelphia, and then to New York, and then to Boston. And it's just like, oh, good. It's 5 in the morning. We have an hour and 15-minute layover. And I just, like, stagger off the bus. Like, I fucking hate all of you. Oh, just, you know, fill up my water bottle. I'm starving at this point. And I finally break down and buy a $3 sandwich. Which probably did me worse than actual, probably did me more harm than good, if I'm completely honest. But, you know, I just, like, stumbling along like a fucking asshole. You know, we get back on the bus, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. And the dude is like, I need to see your ticket. And I'm like, oh, right, so, getting back on the after at the layover place, I did get my tickets printed out by the customer service guy who's sitting in a back corner with a printer and an internet connection. I'm just like, does this happen often? He was like, yeah, just come around and print it off. Like, I'm sorry, dumb white people. And he was like, yep. So that was interesting. So I get my tickets, and the guy's like, I need to see your ticket. I'm like, okay, here's my ticket. He repeats, I need to see your ticket in the exact same phrase of voice, which is kind of shitty. Because I'm like, it's right here. He's like, you have multiple tickets. You could have said, you have multiple tickets. Can I see the other one? Whatever. This guy's a dickhead. So I take the ticket, or I give him the tickets, and he lets me on the bus, and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna fucking deal with these assholes. So managed to get all the way to Philadelphia, and get a hot dog, and that was a mistake. Not for me, but for everyone around me. Get on the bus at Pittsburgh, get on the bus to New York. We get stuck in New Jersey traffic going into New York. And we're like, well, we have an hour and change layover there. We should be fine. No, we weren't. We had an hour and change layover, which was eaten up entirely by the fact that we couldn't manage to keep the bus moving at a stable pace for like more than 5 minutes at a time. We got stuck hardcore, and that wasn't even getting into New York. So we're going and we're going and we're going. It's like, this sucks. This is bullshit. We get, finally, the bus was supposed to hit the New York station at 4:05 p.m. We didn't get in until 5:45, and they had held the buses going up to Boston for us, because they do this every day, so they know what's up. So I get on the bus as fast as I can. I sit down. I'm like, all right, okay, we made it, guys. Like, I made it. Because I'm traveling alone, because fuck traveling with other people. I have enough trouble keeping myself going. So we get there, and we finally make it all the way up. And it is, I make it in there, and I'm like, all right, cool. Why isn't the bus moving? Well, we had the passengers, we had the luggage, we didn't have a driver. It was the driver was going to be training that day on us, so that was not worrisome at all. But so we're like, what the fuck is going on? There's a bus driver, and this poor guy, this poor black fellow. He must have been from. Well, he wasn't from the United States, because he had a really thick accent and didn't speak English very well. But like he just was like, all right, I guess I'm taking you guys to Boston. I was like, well, that's probably it. So luckily he had his buddy there to help him navigate. But he came over to the speaker and he's like, okay, everybody, we're going to Boston. It's a 4-hour, 20-minute trip. We get stuck in traffic. No 4-hour, 20-minute no more. I was just like, oh, thank God, some levity. But he was a good sort, and he floored it out of New York City. We got going, slowly crawled through Connecticut up to Boston. It took him about 4 hours and 20 minutes, so he was pretty on the money there. So I finally get in. And I'm just like, hey guys, what's going on? And I was like, I'm relaying all this information to Arcata and Lilac as I'm going. I'm just like, I have had the most fucked up weird day ever. and by the way, so this is, I haven't properly eaten. I haven't slept very well, actually slept in over 24 hours. I haven't showered. I was waiting for Ark to come up with like, hey, Prof, you smell like shit. Am I okay with it? Not one bit. And thank God he didn't, because either my deodorant didn't give out or his Canadian nose has just been frozen. But so I get in, I just like stagger into the room. I'm like, hey, cool, you know what I'm gonna do, guys? Done. I am just donezo. So I get up the next morning. This is Friday morning, and Lilac's like, "Yo, you need to get your ass down to the actual convention center because there's a cap on how many people can reg, and there's already a line. This is 9:30 in the morning. I didn't get out of that line until 1:30. And like we did the numbers as we were watching. They let 80 pre-reg people go to every 5 regular reg people. Like, boy, you know, we've made jokes in the past like, oh, LineCon 2011, LineCon 2012. No, this was LineCon 2016. Because the MCCA, like, Massachusetts Convention Safety, something or C-word authority, has determined that every entrance has to have, absolutely has to have a metal detector in it. So, that was about as fun as you can imagine. So, I'm stuck in line already. Like, I just got out of line, I just go and get in another line. I'm just like, but you know what? I had an alright time. Let's see. Friday, we went out to get food at this really cool restaurant. Had a good time. Met up with 42 believer Sarah. She's a sweetheart. That was good to meet her for the first time. You know, we goofed off and had fun, and all things were good. After that, let's see, that was Friday. Saturday, Ark and I just wandered around the convention hall. It was all good. Until that night. So we ordered pizza. It was Ark's birthday, and we grabbed pizza from Domino's, and it was good. We don't have a lot of Domino's around here, so I don't eat it very often. So we get to, we're like, hey, you know what sounds like a great idea, guys? Let's go get belligerent. Let's go get drunk and watch Nozaki-kun. Because that was, Sentai had broken their street date because, what the fuck's gonna care? They're like, yo, hey, if you're at Anime Boston, come and buy Nozaki, like, Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun early. And it was just like, done. Donezo. No, we're in the artist alley and we doing video. Both me and Arcada got interviewed outside the Spinneret booth. I like Spinneret. I think it's a cool webcomic, though it's got a little much fan service for my taste, and I feel odd sometimes telling people about it. It's like, yo, it's a really cool send up of the video just finished. It's a really cool send-up of, like, silly superhero stuff. Also, it's got a lot of boobs in it. So, and I also picked up Peacemaker Kuragane on a save. It was like $25. It was great. So we're like, oh god, okay, whatever. So we're like, yeah, hey, let's all go drinking. We tried to go to the Cheesecake Factory, a couple other places in the local area. No dice. Amon Duel, one of the guys who lives in the area, was like, hey, I know the area pretty well. There's this cool bar we can go to. It's a couple blocks away. And we're like, all right, cool. So we start walking. AJ Cosplay joins us, one of his friends. So it's me and Ark and Lilac and Megan, Pat, and Zenith. Oh, God. Shout out to Zenith, by the way, because he's the reason that any of us came to this thing in the first place. So we're all wandering around we're walking and we go past this area that has like swampy bogs in the middle of Boston, which is more than a little peculiar, let me tell you. So we're like, oh god, we're gonna be like, we've been brought out here to get killed. I like, oh no, we're gonna turn into a Law and Order episode. Oh, we had full anime with us. We had Ken with us too. Ken's good people. I like that boy. He's weeb trash though. Never forget a weeb trash. So we're just meandering along, like, hey, you're making jokes, like, oh yeah, no, and it's like, oh yo, Mama Fratelli, we made a fucking sauce, that sort of silliness, just about the whole Boston area. So we get there, we're like, oh hey, cool, there's a liquor store. If this whole thing goes bust, we can go there. And wouldn't you know it, not only was the bar closed, but it closed in September. This was like a 30-minute hike to get here. And we're like, okay, the bar is not only closed, but it's closed permanently. So, Duel was just like, well, I guess let's turn around. So he was a good chap about it, and he ran down to the CVS and bought us a bottle opener, because this is a problem for whenever I go to anime cons, that none of us have a fucking bottle opener. It's just stupid. But hey, we took care of our bottle opener problem. So we all went back to the room. We popped in Lilac's copy of Nozaki because fucking everybody in the room bought one. And we're just like, well, this is good. This is our evening. We're just, cracking open bottles, and this is great. That's when God's Will, who works for Funimation, who knows Lilac and Arc pretty well, dropped by. We offered some beer. We had a good old time, just chatting and hanging out. Eventually, we determined that there were A, too many people in the room, and B, too many loud people in the room. So we wandered down to the lobby and hung out there for a while until they booted us out, and then we parted ways, and we went back up to the room, and we were just like, all right, I'm gonna keep watching Nozaki Kai and drinking. And it was between these nights, we were having just a butt of a time trying to get to sleep, because between me and Zenith and Lilac and Megan, we are the most obnoxious people. It's like a high school sleepover. And so every once in a while, we'd just be talking, and we'd finally start to settle down. And I would do it, or Megan would do it, or Lilac would do it, or Zenith would do it, and we just whisper, anime. And so if you ever see us do that to each other, either on Twitter or in one of our videos, like that's where it's from. But yeah, so it just, for all of the fuck ups and stupidity we went through, I had a damn good time out there hanging out with those guys. Sunday came and went. We're like, hey, Ark was catching a ride back. Ark was catching a ride to Canada with Ken, who lives in Rochester. I don't know what the deal is there. I don't know. Like, good on them. They're making progress, and they always seem to get back in one piece. But that makes me chuckle. Zenith gives me a lift to the bus station. I park my ass on the bus, or not bus, train station. Bus there, train back. I plunk down on the bus and have, spend basically the rest of the day just bullshitting with everybody over Twitter. We make it to Albany, and that's when, so we're supposed to leave from Albany at 7. We did not get out of there until 8. And that's when the bane of my existence showed up. I don't hate children arbitrarily. It's just I hate shitty, loud, noisy children. And we had a fucking gaggle of them. Four of them with two parents who should have stopped having sex long ago, and certainly should have started disciplining their fucking brats. Also very long ago. That was just oh. Thank God I had bought headphones. I forgot my headphones in the car when I was leaving because I was leaving in a rush and because I'm stupid. But I had bought some extra headphones, and thank God I did, because otherwise I would have gone stir fucking crazy trying to listening to these little shitlords. But yeah, no, they were just awful children. Parents, discipline your children. I don't care how you do it. I recommend rubber hose. It doesn't leave very many marks. I do not sanction child abuse unless it gets them to shut up faster. But yeah, so now I get back home. I'm like, oh great. So I get off the train and I'm like, Elkhart, it smells like poop. I need to retrieve my car because the bus station, the bus stop and the train station are two very different things. They're about 4 miles apart. That's not that much, but I have a heavy ass backpack, or I have my bag of holding, and I got a bag full of clothes, and I'm just like, should I just leave the car, get a taxi home, or? Well, I ended up hanging out at the post office while I deliberated this, and that's when I got the phone call. There were two very important phone calls in this long twisted tale, but this one was from yes, this is Peter Whiteley with the IRS. Yeah, I bet. So I proceed to have, I'd say, probably a 10 to 15 minute phone conversation with this guy from the IRS who I immediately cut off. I'm like, that's funny. Like, oh yeah, there's a problem with the taxes that you sent in. I'm like, I haven't sent in my taxes yet, which is stupid because it's March 31st. It's all right, I ain't going anywhere. I haven't sent in my taxes yet because I'm an idiot. So I was immediately suspicious. It's like, oh yeah, I know you did something wrong with your taxes earlier. I'm like, get on that. Like, oh no, you didn't get the thing that we sent you. I'm like, no. Like, all right, well, there's an outstanding case against you. And I'm like, all right, sure. It gives me this string of numbers that is actually too short to be an actual case, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Because I worked in the court systems, and I know your case numbers have certain things that have to be in them. I don't know if it's the same for the IRS, but I'm going to take a stab and figure that courts across at least in Indiana, have to have so many numbers in them. Whatever. The guy's like, oh, well, if you won't figure this out, like, the cops are going to come and take you away. It's like, that's all right. I could use a ride home. I'm like, I'm right outside the fucking police station, dude. I can just walk right in and turn myself in. So, yeah, he hung up. I double-checked the numbers. It's like, oh, yeah, 3 or 4 people are like, yeah, there's some weirdo calling people. It's like, I'm pretty sure the IRS building isn't in New York, too. I'm pretty sure that's in D.C., but I could be mistaken. Oh, that's better though. Anyway, so I take a taxi home, or I take a taxi to my car. I drive home. I have a nap, and I wake up because there's a call from my boss, and that's when my boss tells me, "You're fired." So I got laid off. Patreon is now my only source of income. So if you happen to be a patron, be a mensch. And if you're not, why not? So that's my story. I had a great time at Anime Boston. I come home and find out that I got laid off because small businesses. So that was the opposite of fun. Other than that, I just have to deal with things as they come. So I'm gonna try and go to Con Bravo, provided I have a new job by then. That's at the end of July. So if I don't, I definitely fucked up along the way. Anyway, that's my story. What an exciting weekend it has been. Keep watching the show. I'll see you next time.